A very warm welcome to the Art Vlog Art Lovers. Today I'm in the wonderful city of Edinburgh to explore with you the Grayson Perry mega show, Smash Hits, on here at the Royal Scottish Academy, just on Princes Street. It is always lovely to be in Edinburgh. It's one of my favourite art cities in the whole of the UK, and it's fair to say this Grayson Perry show is incredibly advertised. It's advertised on the side of buses. It's everywhere in Edinburgh at the moment. It is undoubtedly the big show of the season. It's on all the way until the 12th of November. It promises to bring us 80 pieces of Grayson Perry's work. Obviously he's most well known as a ceramicist, but he's also produces work in tapestry as well. Probably it's fair to say that Perry divides opinion a little bit. He has masses of fans for his satire, but also some people who kind of don't rate him. So I'm going to be really interested to see how this show portrays Grayson Perry. It's £19 to get in full price, but there are a range of discounts. You can see the magnificent Royal Scottish Academy has been transformed. So come and join me as we head inside. The first room in this retrospective takes us back to the very start of Grayson Perry's artistic career. One of the first displays are a series of notebooks which you can see here from the early 1980s. And it's fascinating to see him sketching out and developing ideas as a young artist. And Perry says that he will refer back to these notebooks many times over the next decades. We are also shown his first ever piece entitled Kinky Sex, a very rough and ready piece. We're also introduced to the kind of talisman of Perry's art, if you like, his childhood teddy, Alan Measles, who provided an anchor in a turbulent childhood. When I think of Perry, I think of ceramic pots and vases, but this room and indeed the whole exhibition reminds us that he worked in a quite wide variety of medium. The room focuses on works which draw on Perry himself or his autobiography, and so this room is quite an intimate and personal room when observing the development of Perry as an artist. The second room, the Vanity of Small Differences, is dominated by 6 tapestries inspired by Hogarth's A Rake's Progress, which follow Thomas Rakewell's journey through the classes of Britain. It's a work of satire, and it reminds us that Perry is a great satirist as well as an artist. And this is obviously partially observing Perry's own journey from working class Essex background to being a established member of the middle class. Interestingly, as well as showing movement between classes, and I found myself nostalgic for a time when maybe class movement seemed more possible, the creative process of these tapestries from 2012 involved drawing them first of all and then translating them into a computer. They were then translated into weave files in Spain, in Madrid, before being woven by Flanders Tapestries. We also see some early works, some more early ceramic works as well in this room, as you're about to see. The third room, Pots and Plates, reminds us that Perry, as an angry young artist in the 80s, was committing a radical act by taking up pottery. His vision chafed at middle-class sensibilities of 1980s ceramics with often obscene or radical subject matter. He took up pottery after attending an evening class, having moved to London, and quickly found his medium. This room also contains a couple of tapestries, including the massive Walthamstow tapestry. Walthamstow was where he had his studio when he produced this tapestry in 2009. The room branching out has two real meanings. It means branching out in terms of the materials he uses in artistic practice, as he moved away from being a main ceramicist after winning the Turner Prize, as you can see here, working in tapestry, for example. But it also means branching out in terms of subject matter, moving away from some autobiographical works to works which commented more on society and wider society and the art world as well. We return to Alan Measles, a talisman almost for both Perry's life and his art, and so important to Perry that he refused to lend the original teddy to the exhibition, instead sending this replica. Alan was one of Grayson Perry's childhood toys, and who he played with in his room as a retreat from an unhappy home life. And he sort of described him as a resistance fighter and a leader of the other toys, as well as being a protector and a bit of a father figure. After 6 years of therapy between 1998 and 2004, Alan Measles became more important in Perry's art. Indeed, the artist describes him as a personal metaphor for God, masculinity, care and security. And it's interesting because Alan Measles takes on so many different guises. In some cases, as you've seen, he's caring. In others, he's quite demonic. And it's a fascinating inspiration. Grayson Perry also worked in the medium of print, and it was interesting to see his practice develop from drawing on acetate sheets, which were transferred into copper, or onto copper, through to working directly on a computer screen. Art lovers of a certain age will remember Claire's coming out dress very clearly through maybe photographs. This was worn to a solo exhibition in central London in the year 2000. And Perry said, this, according to the exhibition, this is was an important moment for me. I had a kind of epiphany where I realised that being a transvestite wasn't about pretending to be a woman. It was about me putting on clothes that gave me feelings that I wanted. The House for Essex saw Grayson Perry work with architects to produce this very unique looking house near Radness in the Essex countryside. And it's interesting to see how this work developed. Obviously the house itself can't be brought into the exhibition, but this model is, along with photos. And surrounding the House for Essex is a tapestry work or series of tapestry works following the life of Julie Cope, which you can see here.
class and masculinity section brings together a series of works in a variety of forms which respond to these ideas of class and masculinity, often interweaving with nationalism as well. And it was interesting that these works, for example, like this one, Slave Ship, responding to the 1998 World Cup, often respond to events at the time. I love this pot will reduce crime by 29%. Perry himself says this is his most cynical, and it's a comment on the art world. And I also was fascinated and spent a long time looking at this Battle of Britain, where you see the country split into kind of two sides, if you like, one very much about the past and one looking towards the future, about a divided country as well. There was something fascinating about seeing the section on English identity in Scotland's showpiece capital. And Grayson Perry lets us know that although this exhibition is called Smash Hits, his preferred title was actually National Treasure. And he was warned by the Royal Scottish Academy that this could provoke nationalist sentiment in Scotland. Obviously, National Treasure is a ironic alluding to his sort of position as he's become ubiquitous on TV as well. He's sort of become an insider, if you like. And lots of these works are very, very recent, from 2022 and 2023, suggesting that English identity is becoming a major preoccupation of Perry as he enters a new stage of his artistic career.
Well, art lovers, I hope you enjoyed that exploration of the Grayson Perry show Smash Hits from the Royal Scottish Academy. First thing I would say is it boasts of being the biggest ever Grayson Perry show in the UK, and it was certainly comprehensive. And I think I really enjoyed seeing Grayson Perry's work in such a wide variety of mediums. I think the last big-ish Grayson Perry show I went to was a very long time ago at Turner Contemporary in Margate, and that was nearly all just ceramics. So it was fascinating to see him expand his practice from ceramics into tapestry, etchings, etc. That was really special. And it was also really interesting to see how the physical practice of his work had changed from being much more about the hand to moving towards computers, a bit like David Hockney, to express his ideas. So that was fantastic. I did enjoy the first half of the show especially strongly. I thought that the rooms around masculinity and identity, and also to a lesser extent Englishness, were less strong curatorially and hung together less well. So post in the comments if you agree with that or not. The second thing I would say is that there was one of the shows with the strongest artistic voices I can remember. Grayson Perry has written the blurb or the explanation for each piece himself, and in some ways I like that because you got to hear his intentions in creating these pieces of work and their meaning. In another sense, I found it a bit restrictive. I like looking at art and interpreting it, for myself. So that was a slight criticism as well. But some people will really like that as well. Obviously, Grayson Perry's work is incredibly detailed. I suppose a word you would use to describe it is busy. And so I can't really show you, obviously, the whole of this exhibition because you have to circle the vases, for example, to see their full meaning, and which is a reason to go. It means that you'll spend a long time in there, which is why I think that £19 is good value, because if you're looking at each work fully, it's going to take you a couple of hours, maybe even more, to do that. Yeah, and there's one other thing I just wanted to say as well about Grayson Perry's art. And for some people, he's one of the great satirists in British art, up there with Hogarth and others. For critics of Grayson Perry, behind the business, behind the density, there isn't that much deeper meaning. What is the work actually meaning? What's it saying? And I did find that with some works, whereas others, especially the more punchy ones satirising the UK art scene, for example, I really enjoyed. I actually enjoyed the autobiographical, intimate work, Alan Measles, and the other works in those early rooms as well. I found the later work looking at big themes less convincing, but maybe that's just me. If you disagree with me, please post in the comments below. So it was a good show. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's on until the 12th of November, so still got a long time to go and see this. And it will be really interesting to see if there is any other retrospectives on Grayson Perry's work over the next few years. We're now, art lovers, coming into the autumn art season, so don't forget to subscribe to the Art Vlog, hit that notification bell, and most importantly of all, wherever you are in the UK, get out there and explore this wonderfully rich UK art scene.